As my father used to say, some men are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. But then there's another type who shines only in reflected greatness, a moon that only appears to be bright because of its proximity to the sun. Humans, with our imperfect eyes, often group together the sun and the moon, but I imagine the moon feels the distinction quite keenly, as I'm sure does the sun. Exhibit A.
I told you he wouldn't come.
Be patient, Ned. You know the boy loves to make an entrance.
The boy is 36 minutes late.
And practically punctual if you're running on Johnny Standard Time.
Well, let's hope he at least has more respect for paying audience members.
Paying audiences often mistake disrespect for the sign of a great man. They come in droves to be disrespected by people who think they're too important to do their jobs properly.
I imagine you would know. You're the one who counts up the box office figures.
Oh, you'd be amazed what a rude, selfish young person with a stylish mustache can do for the box office.
Speaking of the box office, are you absolutely certain that it will take all three of us on stage to raise the funds we need?
Yes, I'm afraid it's you and Johnny who are the real draws. My presence is merely a novelty, completing the set and all that.
Junior, you know I hate it when you talk like that.
You're too kind. I suspect that of the two of us, I'm the only one who reads my reviews.
They loved you in King John.
They did. They did love me in one role. I've played dozens. Don't forget, Ned, I'm a theater manager. I know what sells, and I know what true greatness looks like. I've never seen it in the shaving mirror in the morning. Well, except when the mirror is all fogged up and I can't distinguish between my face and yours, or Dad's.
You are coming perilously close to drowning in self-pity.
I take back what I said
Thank you.
about you being too kind.
It's not just Johnny's work ethic I'm concerned about.
No, I understand.
It's been years since I last saw him, but I've heard about the company he chooses to keep. The awful things he writes in his letters to our sister.
Oh, it's all for attention, Ned. You know how he is. He's always been this way. He gets a notion into his head, obsesses over it for a while, and then discards it for the next exciting idea. Remember when he thought he wanted to become a doctor, or his French phase?
Pardon me for not taking this new phase of his as lightly as you do, but there's a difference between speaking in French for a month and making extreme and frankly borderline treasonous statements during such a dark time for our country. Do we really want to tie our names to that?
No, we don't, but what if he could tie his name to ours? This play could keep his name out of the mud until he gets over this ridiculous stage in his life. It would be good for him to have some positive role models and structure in his life for once.
Now you sound exactly like Mother now.
Really? And I took such pains to imitate Dad's elocution.
Junior, now's not the time.
Now you sound like her.
Well, I'm about ready to put out a casting call for a new Mark Antony.
I am not doing it. It's ridiculous.
And good evening to you too, my dear boy. We were just talking about you.
Ned, I'm about this close to wringing your neck. What were you thinking, press ganging me into playing Mark Antony?
Excuse me?
Mark Antony? You know Brutus is the part for me, the one I've been trying to play for years. You're not content to steal my thunder with your precious Hamlet going on tour the same time as mine? You're gonna cheat me out of this role too? And leave me stuck with Mark Antony? Why can't you take the smaller role for once in your life?
Antony has to be younger than Brutus and Cassius. It says so in the book.
Don't waste your time trying to reason on him.
You'll have plenty of chances to play Brutus when you're older.
Old of you to assume I plan on getting old.
Johnny, perhaps it would benefit you to consider the politics of the situation for a moment.
On the contrary, I think he could do with a bit less thinking about politics at the moment.
Which role has the most lines? Which actor's name will most likely appear in the largest letters at the top of the marquee?
And there it is. This is a ploy to keep me in my place because you're both afraid of me outshining the great Edwin Booth.
Look, I have the unusual distinction of being able to say that Brutus is literally my middle name, and I am perfectly happy to play Cassius.
Of course you are. You're the manipulator behind the scenes. You're perfect for it.
I'm touched.
It also happens to be the second biggest role in the play. You'd be lucky to have half as many lines anywhere else. I know why you're all in for this project. You're a washed-up failure. This is your last chance for glory on the stage, and you need Ned and me to give it to you.
What did I tell you, Ned?
I don't know. What did he tell you, Ned? Did I be so grateful for this opportunity to be compared with you yet again?
No. Among other things, he told me I didn't need to worry about you. I disagreed. Thank you for having the sense to remove yourself from this production before I had to do it for you.
I think he's mighty pleased to see you.
I hate him.
What's he done to you?
Live, breathe, take multiple curtain calls.
And what have I done to you?
Everything but shutting up.
Well, now we're getting somewhere. We're communicating. Johnny, you know I missed you, don't you? You're overlooking how wonderful this opportunity could be. Our family is unique. A childhood sequestered away from the world in the woods, just our family and the bard. Hearing Dad recite his speeches night and day, script scattered all over the house, tragic heroes for imaginary friends. These characters, these words are real to us in a way that most actors could only dream of. Ergo, we understand each other on a level that nobody else could.
You think you understand me?
I do. I really, truly do. I know what it's like to be in Ned's shadow. But I've seen you perform too, and you're your own man.
We don't need this play. The country's falling apart beneath our feet. Men are bleeding and dying, and the president is a backwoods idiot at best and a despot at worst. And you think the worthiest cause to fight for is a statue of William Shakespeare in Central Park?
Yes. I think theater can unite us. I think it's good to have a common cause when people are so divided. And I think Julius Caesar is the right choice. The themes of that play.
Of destroying a tyrant at any cost?
Out of curiosity, have you read Acts 4 and 5?
Don't patronize me. I'm not a child.
Sorry, truly. But I think it's nice to remind people that there are things worth fighting for instead of just fighting. And how can we possibly convince people to do that? A little marketing strategy. The three Booth brothers on stage, one night only.
Why did you let Ned cast me as Mark Antony?
He didn't. I did.
What?
You're the textbook, Antony. It's perfect for a young, athletic, passionate type, an actor who knows how to electrify an audience.
I told you I'm done playing villains. I've done Richard III too many times.
So you see Mark Antony as the villain of the piece. Interesting. Some would say it's Cassius or Brutus himself, the classic example of a traitor. I've always held that it doesn't have one.
He is the villain. Brutus killed Caesar for the right reasons. He gave a public speech defending his decision, and then Antony gets up and distorts the truth, turns people against Brutus, plunges the country into civil war, and ushers in an empire.
And what better way to steal the spotlight from Ned?
What?
Who else could make Edwin Booth look pale and bland in comparison? Antony enters the pulpit after Brutus and steals the hearts of the audience away from him. Isn't that what you want?
What do you want, Junior?
Quite a few things, actually. I've mentioned some, you've mentioned others, and there's a couple more that we don't have time to discuss right now. Look, Brutus is a marvelous role, but it doesn't play to your strengths. He's quiet, stoic, subtle, lots of emotions going on beneath the surface. That's what Ned does so beautifully. You are bold, vital, charismatic. You need a part that lets you shine. You know, I've never said this before, but I think you have a truly special gift. I don't. I understand Shakespeare's words so deeply, I feel them burning in my soul. But I can't convey them to the audience the way that you and Ned can. I am at least good enough to understand my own limitations. I'm awkward, I'm peculiar, you're not.
Junior,
They say that Ned is the greatest actor alive. You know why? He works harder than any other man in the business. He gets inside those characters' heads, he learns their words inside and out, and he just becomes them. He studies, he practices, he thinks so hard you sometimes see smoke coming out of his ears. I won't lie to you, he's a better actor than you. But you have an innate spark that he never will. You are a natural genius.
why are you telling me this? What do you want from me?
I have an eye for these things as a theater manager, you know. You have what it takes to be great. As great as Ned, greater, but you're squandering what God gave you. You drink on the job, you don't learn your lines, you get in fights and turn up with a black eye. Do you know what I'd give to have 1/10 of what you have? I just wish you could put in the same amount of work as your brother and see what you could do with it. And maybe I'd like Ned to know how it feels for once.
Thank you. Thank you, Junior. I wasn't expecting to hear that from you.
Don't pretend to be modest. I know you agree with every word I've said. You've felt it for years.
Yes, you're right. But it's nice to know I'm not crazy.
I never said you weren't crazy.
Well, on that account, at least. You know, it's funny what you said about Ned being the greatest actor alive. What about the greatest actor of all time?
What do you mean?
Well, nobody really knows who that is, do they? Before Ned, it was Edmund Kean. Before him, David Garrick. Go back far enough and it's Richard Burbage. Who did it best? We can't travel back in time and compare them. All we have is hearsay. An actor's reputation might outlive him, but all his real power dies with the last living person to see him on stage, right? I don't even know if I want to be a great actor anymore. A great man lives on a long time after he's gone. A great actor just plays the part of a great man.
So few people have a chance to be a great anything.
There's so much going on in this country right now. It's like there's a dark cloud around me all the time and I can't do anything about it. Can't fight or lead or make a difference. I just stand on stage wearing makeup and making pretty speeches and waving around a fake sword. Is it even worth it?
Of course it's worth it. You have the power to make everyone in that theater look inside their hearts and think deeper about the world they live in and what they can do to change it. Shakespeare does that to people in the hands of a truly great actor. If you could just be civil to one another, think what impact you and Ned could have together. Ned has a great mind, and you have a great spirit.
You're wrong.
No, I don't think I am.
For leaving yourself out. You have a great heart. Remember, I told you that. I might forget sometimes.
So, I was thinking that the citizens who appear at the end of Act 3 could wear brown instead of white, to differentiate them from the conspirators.
What about the battle scenes? How will the audience know which men are on which side?
Huh. I hadn't thought of that. What if...
Nice of you to drop by. If you're testing the strength of the door hinges, you're doing an admirable job.
How can you smile like that? How can you act like it's just another Tuesday?
It's Wednesday.
Shut up! What, did you think I wouldn't care? He's been reelected. What is this world coming to after 4 years of hell? Who would be so idiotic as to vote for that criminal?
Now is not the time to talk about politics.
No, you're right. Now's the time to talk about Julius Caesar, isn't it? Absolutely no politics there whatsoever. Right, you too.
Johnny, do you need to be excused from today's rehearsal? You're clearly not ready. My God. Have you been drinking?
I'm human. Can't imagine anyone with feelings being able to face the world today sober.
It's 10 a.m.
You're heartless. You're completely heartless. Junior was right about you. All brain and no heart and no soul.
Really? That's how the two of you see me.
Johnny, please.
If I wasn't such a good actor, you'd know that you broke my heart the first time you walked through that door, the first time I saw my baby brother in 5 years. I was hoping the rumors about you weren't true. But I was fooling myself, wasn't I?
You voted for him, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Now I know how Mark Antony felt when he walked into the Senate and saw Brutus's hands smeared with the blood of Caesar. You traitor! You monster!
That's enough, Johnny.
You're on his side now? You never really cared about me, did you? You just like to play both sides. Who did you vote for, Junior? Tell me, did you vote for him too? You did, didn't you?
Funnily enough, I didn't make it to the ballot box on time this year. I got carried away in a production meeting.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Don't lie to him. We all know you voted for Lincoln too.
Why does it matter so much to you?
Why does it matter? Listen to yourself. He has the blood of 500,000 men on his hands, and you reach out and shake them. That man would rather let his own countrymen kill each other than admit that he's knowingly leading the rest of the country to ruin. The whole system collapses without slavery, but he'd rather protect property than American citizens.
No! No more. I don't care who you are. I won't tolerate that kind of talk from anyone. It hurts me more than I can say to think that my own brother would believe even half of that.
Junior, tell this self-righteous hypocrite to leave your theater.
Some of us don't believe in seceding from a difficult situation.
Fine then. I'm leaving.
No. The show opens in 2 weeks. Tickets are already sold out. Marquees are hung. The three Booth brothers, together, one night only. Please tell me you can do one night only. You can hate us all you want. It's perfectly in character. We don't have to speak behind the scenes. Please, just let me have this one night.
How am I supposed to concentrate on your silly little play when I know that man is still in power? The country is an open wound.
That's it. You said you know how Antony felt shaking hands with Caesar's assassins. Use that. What was that soliloquy you were having trouble with the other day, the bleeding piece of earth one? Don't make it about Caesar. Make it about Ned and me. Make it about the chaos you think is in front of us.
Please do not encourage him. This is sick.
He's an actor. I'm encouraging him to act. Take a breath, Johnny. Close your eyes. Show us the speech. Remember why you belong on stage.
Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I am meek and gentle with these butchers. Thou art the ruin of the noblest man that ever lived in the tide of times. Woe to the hands that shed this costly blood. Over thy wounds now do I prophesy, which like dumb mouths do ope their ruby lips to beg the voice and utterance of my tongue. A curse shall light upon the limbs of men. Domestic fury and fierce civil strife shall cumber all the parts of Italy. Blood and destruction shall be so in use, and dreadful objects so familiar that mothers shall but smile when they behold their infants quartered with the hands of war. All pity choked with custom of fell deeds. and Caesar's spirit ranging for revenge, with Ate by his side come hot from hell, shall Emmy's confines with a monarch's voice cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war, that this foul deed shall smell above the earth with carrion men groaning for burial.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I guess there's one thing to be thankful for. At least we won't have him long. If he'd lost the election, he could have slipped into a quiet retirement, and people might have forgotten all about him. But no. Now he's made himself a target. He's not getting out of this term alive. Oh, and Junior, I'll do your stupid show.
Don't think about growing back that stupid mustache you used to have. Mark Antony didn't wear a mustache.
Neither did Brutus.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
I do but keep the peace.
Keeping the peace isn't always noble, you know. Keeping the peace with the wrong sort of people means making dangerous concessions. And don't tell me you didn't see that look in his eye. He looked like he wanted to burn us alive and dance on the ashes.
He's always been theatrical, a family trait as it happens.
That wasn't just acting.
No, it wasn't just acting. It was the best acting of his career.
There are more important things than this play. Cancel it, Junior. You know in your heart that you're excusing something inexcusable for the benefit of your pet project. You're looking for the baby brother you used to know instead of what he's become.
And you're looking for a monster where there's just a very misguided, damaged young boy who needs a healthy outlet for his energy.
You keep calling him a boy. He's 26.
Sensitive. I once saw him weeping over a butterfly with a torn wing.
When he was a child.
A month ago. He hasn't changed as much as you think.
If you recall, Brutus and Cassius had very different ideas about whether or not Mark Antony was dangerous. Brutus thought they could work together, that he was malleable, that he would forgive them. That was his fatal mistake. It wasn't his last mistake. But trusting Antony was his point of no return.
Brutus and Cassius almost let it tear them apart. Never come such division between our souls. Let it not, Brutus?
Everything is well. I have to be completely honest with you. Tearing us apart is what I'm really concerned about. What did he mean? Saying you told him I'm all brain and no heart.
No, that's not what I said at all. He twisted my words around to suit him.
He twisted your words around to hurt me. Think of what he does best. His signature role.
You know, Richard III, like Dad.
Yes. Charming young villain, Richard III. He turned his two older brothers against each other so he could steal the throne from them. They never saw it coming. You know, I always looked up to you.
You looked up to Dad.
No, I looked up to you. You were the first one of us to try and make it as an actor. You knew you'd be compared to Dad for the rest of your life, but you did it anyway. Because you loved it. I wouldn't have had the courage to try if it wasn't for you.
Oh, my dear boy.
I should have told you before.
What would you have been if I hadn't trod the primrose path to an ill-considered career on the stage?
A professor of literature, I think.
You'd be a great one. Terrify the students, though. You've rather a stern countenance.
Do I really?
When was the last time anyone cast you in a comedy?
I have been told I have a Byronic aspects.
That's the word. Not that I'm one to talk. Johnny got all the good looks in the family.
Yeah, he did. I'm glad I didn't. I might not have worked as hard as I did to get here.
I know how hard you work, but it's just so difficult to watch you sometimes because it looks so easy when you do it. I see you poring over your scripts, pacing around reciting your lines, walking through your blocking, just like me, like any other dedicated actor, but then you walk out onto the stage and some kind of alchemical process takes hold. I'm still clutching the lump of lead I started with, and you're dripping in pure gold.
You know nobody else sees you that way.
You remember Plato's story about the cave, right?
Of course, but I don't see how that's...
I've spent my life feeling like a shadow on the wall of a cave. You're the real thing out there somewhere in the light. You have color and texture and weight and life. Now, the good citizens of the cave don't know about the world out there. They can't tell the difference. It's nice to hear the applause from all the cavemen in the audience, but I know that I'm your shadow. I'm sorry, Ned, if it seems like I sympathize with Johnny. It's because I know it's not easy to be your shadow or in your shadow. He wants to be the real thing, too. That's why he's so desperate to separate himself from you. It was never about President Lincoln or the war or anything else.
I don't know what to say.
I know, it's hard for you to gaze upon your own brilliance.
No. I mean, I've never felt like the real thing either. Actors are all shadows on a wall, aren't we? We're all just trying to capture the character we see in our mind's eyes. None of us will really do them justice. But we keep trying to get it right all the same. You know, I've done 143 performances of Hamlet. I've never been truly happy with a single one.
Strange.
What?
I was expecting to hear that you have some magical secret. Fire stolen from the gods, a philosopher's stone.
Definitely not.
You know, it occurs to me that Johnny once said something similar. Something about great actors leaving nothing but shadows behind.
And you said you think he wants to be something real.
I do.
And what exactly?
I don't know. Not you. Not Dad. Brutus, perhaps. Come on. Let's go get something to eat.
The special performance of Julius Caesar played at the Winter Gardens Theater on November 25th, 1864, starring brothers Edwin Booth, Junius Brutus Booth Jr., and John Wilkes Booth, on stage together for the first and only time.
A rapt audience occupied all 2,000 seats. The collected proceeds of $4,000 were more than enough to build a new statue of William Shakespeare in Central Park, and the production received rave reviews. The New York Herald stated,
Brutus was individualized with great force and distinctiveness.
Junius Booth's Cassius was brought out equally well.
John Wilkes Booth played with a phosphorescent passion and fire, which recalled to theatergoers the characteristics of his father, the elder Booth.
The play was marred only by a brief interruption in the second act, when the sound of fire alarms rang out from the street outside.
After conferring with the theater staff, Edwin assured the audience that a small fire had broken out nearby, but was under control. The performance continued without further incident.
Only after the performance did the audience learn that they had survived a Confederate plot to burn down New York City. Arsonists set fire to around 20 buildings, including hotels, theaters, and P.T. Barnum's museum. While the actors performed scenes of mutiny, rebellion, chaos, and destruction, It raged on outside the theater doors.
Fortunately, the arsonist's attempts largely failed, and New York City lived on. To this day, nobody knows whether John Wilkes Booth had inside knowledge of the plot.
Edwin Booth was performing Hamlet when the news broke of Abraham Lincoln's assassination. The production was immediately shut down, and, dogged by death threats, Edwin went into self-imposed exile from the public.
Junius Brutus Booth Jr. was arrested and imprisoned as a suspected accomplice until he was able to prove his innocence in the horrific crime.
A year later, Edwin returned to the stage at the urging of the public and his own wallet. His new production of Hamlet was received with a 2-minute standing ovation as soon as he entered the stage. Half crazed with grief, shame, and disgust for his own family, he finally felt like the real thing.
A small Broadway theater bears Edwin Booth's name to this day. Beyond that, he and Junius soon faded into fine print footnotes, relevant to history only as John's older brothers.
The statue of William Shakespeare still stands in Central Park